Legacy Open. Here in round 8 on a...
He's playing Solar Flare.
He's got a Solar Flare Esper kind of looking deck. He's got Elesh Norns, he's got Sun Titans and Phantasmal Images. Dan Musser on the other side playing Rug Pod as his favorite standard deck. And so,
all right, so we're leading right into things. Dan
action.
Musser on the play with the Llanowar Elves. Really important for him to have that. That is going to let him get some really big things online really fast. I mean, he can, if he plays a pod on turn 2, it's going to make the game almost impossible for David.
Yeah, David played a Evolving Wilds on turn 1. Dan Musser also very good on the Open Series. Came in second place to Jerry Thompson in Pittsburgh when Jerry Thompson went back-to-back. Came in second in the Legacy portion. Has also at least 2 other Star City Games top 8s. I think all in Legacy. He may have 1 in Standard. And there is a birthing pod.
So Dan's going to be pretty far ahead here now. I mean, if David is able to get a lucky alchemy and find himself an Unburial Rites and get an Elesh Norn into play pretty quickly, then he'll be fine. But if he can't get the Elesh Norn into play really fast, the Birthing Pod chain is just going to get completely out of hand.
Yeah, completely agree. Birthing Pod, new Phyrexia using the pretty much ubiquitous Phyrexian mana. Lets you chain your creatures up. You can read it there in the lower left-hand corner. We'll give you a moment to read Birthing Pod if you are unfamiliar. Essentially, it allows you to turn your 1s into 2s, your 2s into 3s, your 3s into 4s, and so on until you reach, I believe the top end for Dan is Inferno Titan. Some lists go to 7 mana. Most do not. Dan Musser putting a Strangleroot Geist on the board off of his Llanowar Elf.
Okay, going to crack David for 2.
And play a Daybreak Ranger. Now, Daybreak Ranger and also Huntmaster of the Fells very good in Birthing Pod decks because they allow you to do something on your turn without casting a spell, allowing you to flip werewolves on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Huntmaster and Daybreak are so good in these types of decks.
David McDarby played Forbidden Alchemy that turn, putting an Unburial Rites and a Lingering Souls in the bin. That is actually David's only Unburial Rites in the deck.
So now David's trying to get an Elesh Norn into the yard as fast as possible. Going to go ahead and Oblivion Ring this Birthing Pod.
Before he gets way out of hand.
Because David next turn will be able to sacrifice the Strangleroot Geist and search for another 3 casting cost card and continue attacking for more and more damage. That would make him more vulnerable to board sweeping effects, but David's list is only playing 2 Day of Judgment. If Dan had an active
and one
pod,
Terminus
very big deal.
also, in addition to the Day of Judgment.
Now, Dan here does have another Birthing Pod, so he's going to be able to sacrifice that Strangleroot Geist if he so desires. But right now it's looking like his hand is probably a little bit weak. Daybreak Ranger, not the card you want against the Solar Flare type deck.
Agreed.
If he had cast that last turn, that's a pretty big tell that he doesn't really have much else to do.
Daybreak Ranger, very good against the Delver decks that are
I mean, it's really good
much
against
more popular, of course.
any creature-based deck, especially creature-based decks that don't have hard removal to kill it.
Well, Nightfall Predator is good against creatures, but Daybreak Ranger, good against Delver Secrets, or good against Insectile Abomination, I should say.
So
we're going to trade Werewolf for Werewolf here.
Go up the chain a little bit. Find himself a 2/2 that's going to make a 2/2 wolf.
Find himself a Jägermeister von something. I forget what the German translation is. And Dan Musser, for those of you that don't know, big fan of Pikachu. He often wears Pikachu shirts and has a Pikachu deck box or a Pokemon Ball deck box that he battles with. That's his modus operandi.
David here looking at a Forbidden Alchemy of 4 lands, or of 3 lands and 1 spell. Can't really see what it is.
Yep. In his hand, he has an Elesh Norn and a Cavern of Souls, as well as it looks like 2 lands and possibly a Lingering Souls.
That's pretty good. I think David's in a pretty good spot then. Oh, it was a Sun Titan, so
he's going to keep the Sun Titan.
Chooses to keep that.
Flashing back Lingering Souls that he put in the bin from the first Forbidden Alchemy. We have some nice Star City Games Spirit tokens.
Yeah, and those tokens are going to help gum up the board and let David get to the point of where he can put an Elesh Norn into play. Only 2 more turns. until he gets there. And in the meantime, he's going to be able to Sun Titan to buy even more time. And 6-power guy going to be pretty good here.
Dan Musser has a Wolf or Silverheart in hand, among other things. Considering that option first, I imagine. I didn't see if he had a land or not.
I mean, he's going to want to activate the pod this turn, so the Silverheart is kind of just like something that gets chump blocked right now.
He also has the
because
Inferno
Lingering
Titan in his
Souls.
hand, so he can't really go up the chain all that well.
Yeah, with the 5 and the 6 in his hand, it's kind of a problem.
He does have an Acidic Slime still in his deck, so that's probably what he's potting into.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to pot up a slime before David gets the 7th turn. It's just too important not to do. But right now, I think his main goal is to just punch through as much damage as possible on these turns until David gets the 7. And he may just think it's on a Sun Titan chain, so he may just get the Acidic Slime right now.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. Looks like he's going to go get the Acidic Slime. Now, the other 5 left in Dan Musser's deck. He does have the Wolf or Silverheart in hand, but he also has a main deck Zealous Conscripts. Very good against either Elesh Norn or Sun Titan.
Fortunately, with Elesh Norn, Zealous Conscripts can get in there for 9, but your board is usually dead before then, so you need to have your opponent at 9 before you can make that play effectively.
Oh! I see what he's doing here. So he, instead of destroying the land, he destroyed the Oblivion Ring,
Got back the
pod, paying some life, getting a 3. Now, what 3 is he going to get? He could go get the Deceiver Exarch, which would untap the pod again, but he doesn't have another land.
He doesn't have the land in hand, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so he could get...
so he could get Phantasmal
Deceiver
Image.
Exarch or Aether Adept and bounce something.
Yes, he can get...
Aether Adept.
Looks like he's getting Borderland Ranger
Oh, that's actually pretty nice.
to go get another land,
Yep.
which he can play this turn. This is just throwing as many bodies on the board as he can. Now this is going to allow David to play the Sun Titan next turn if he so chooses.
And I imagine he will so choose.
I would imagine as well. David under attack here. Chumping the two creatures that we're attacking.
Alright, now David here, either going to play a Sun Titan or some board sweeper effect. Hasn't had a Day of Judgment or a Terminus yet, but at this point he's going to hit 6 mana this turn, so if he did have the Terminus stuck in his hand, this would be the turn he'd be able to cast it. And if he has it, it's happening.
Yep.
Here with a Nile Spellbomb in hand, so playing a main deck Nile Spellbomb.
Yep, that was his draw for the turn. He does have 1 main deck Nile Spellbomb. He also has 2 in the sideboard for other Solar Flare mirrors, and playing against Brad Nelson and Brian Braun to win Frights decks, for example.
Yeah, having a Nile Spellbomb or 2 in your main deck isn't the worst thing.
Also very good against zombies, which we did not see very much of today. So he's going to play the Nile Spellbomb, nuking Dan's graveyard to draw a card here. I guess he's just going to wait.
Yeah, I mean, he has Lingering Souls, so he can
stave off some more
Sun Titan,
attacks.
he could have returned the Oblivion Ring. So I'm pretty surprised that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But he still has quite a few options here. So
this was also a redraw to try and get a Day of Judgment. He had many outs that he was looking for here.
yeah, I mean,
He didn't hit them.
Oh, he's just passing. That's kind of interesting.
Very interesting.
Then he lets himself lose to a few different draws. So next turn he's going to cast Elesh Norn. He's just going for the Forbidden Alchemy now.
Yep. So he's going to take 9 this turn, should nothing else come down on the board.
I imagine some other things are going to come down.
I would guess so, with Dan Musser having a handful of cards.
And double Birthing Pod.
And double Birthing Pod.
So
Now the question is he going to search up attacking creatures? Would be my question. Because he has the Wolf or Silverheart in hand.
Yeah, I mean, he might just cast Wolfir Silverheart because
Try and get through some more damage. Now, he played his
it's
land for
extra
the turn,
4, so-
and it was a come into play tapped land. Dan mulling over his decisions. He's going to put David to 5.
Yep. See, I don't really like that play. I think you just cast the Wolfir Silverheart and
Yep, this is
get it for an extra 4.
This Borderland Ranger is certainly going to become a Huntmaster of the Fells. He's not going to play another spell, and it's going to become a Ravager of the Fells, almost certainly.
Yeah, and that's really good because that'll
put David to 3, and it will
then
be a
he'll-
creature that survives Elishnorn also.
Yeah, and putting David to 3, then David's just dead because
Yeah.
David can't tap out for Elishnorn because he'll lose to the Inferno Titan in Dan's hand.
Yes.
So this play works just as well. A lot of time I get confused when I watch these Birthing Pod chains because all of them are different.
Yep.
So
Dan is a very experienced Birthing Pod player. He was not famous, he was well known for playing a Splinter Twin Deceiver Exarch 4-color pod deck while that was legal and standard that ran a Totem Guide Heartbeast as part of the chain to go get Splinter Twins. So he's known for
Rise
playing
of the Eldrazi, uncommon.
2/5. I think was it uncommon?
Yeah, it's 2/5.
2/5 for 5. So he's not unfamiliar with complicated Birthing Pod chains.
So Dan not going to be flipping.
Right, not going to be flipping
of
because
the
of Forbidden Alchemy. Yes.
And that's kind of a hole in that plan, and that's why it might have been better to play that Wolfir Silverheart because now he does not have his opponent in range for that Inferno Titan, and as a result, he's probably going to lose. Yeah, I mean, putting the opportunity to just like put your opponent at 3 when you
Now,
have,
if Dan has a 2-drop or a 3-drop in his hand, he can pod into. I'm sorry. If he has a 3-drop or a 4-drop in his hand, he can pod into Zealous Conscripts.
it looks like he's just gonna Inferno Titan and
Put
3
David. Put David to 2.
And,
That's not miserable.
Yeah, I mean, David's on a 1-turn clock from this, obviously.
David does have the Doomblade, I believe.
Does he?
Yep, there it is.
All right, so Cavern of Souls naming Turtle.
That's an actual thing that happened. Cavern of Souls named Turtle. So,
Turtles.
getting fanciful there in the feature match area.
Now, here Dan has a few different options. Zealous Conscripts is going to be his big out here, especially because David has that Doomblade. So,
David with Phantasmal Image, a blue-white land of some kind also in hand, in addition to the Sun Titan, some black elimination spells.
yeah, I mean, David's still with an Unburial Rites in his yard.
Yep.
I believe he also still has a Lingering Souls in hand.
Yep. Or in his graveyard.
No, in hand also.
Oh, in hand also.
So, Lingering Souls in hand, pretty good when you have Elishnorn on the board. Great 12 points of flying power. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. So O-Ring on Inferno Titan.
Alright, so a Sun Titan coming down, that can return an Oblivion Ring. And that also will make it really hard for Dan to ever get out of this with a Conscript. So
Now Dan has the Phyrexian Metamorph.
oh, so actually the Metamorph's quite good here because the oh no, because when it
'Cause, no,
copies, it
it-
becomes 6 casting costs, right?
Yes.
So you can't chain Metamorph up. Oh no, he can just Metamorph, cast make a Sun Titan, and then
Bring
use
back the
Sun Titan
Borderland
to bring
Ranger.
Borderland Ranger, play the lands, then use
Borderland
both
Ranger
pods,
into
go
Huntmaster
up
into
to-
Zealous Conscripts.
Yep. And then that Zealous Conscripts will
We'll take the Elishnorn and attack for plenty.
attack for enough. So that's his line. So Dan Musser can win here.
We have a life total issue apparently at the feature match area that we're waiting on.
Okay, perhaps some Phyrexian mana was paid for something.
Which sometimes happens with Phyrexian mana.
Yeah, so in the meantime, I think Dan sees this play here with the Phyrexian Metamorph. Going to go ahead and cast Phyrexian Metamorph, copying Sun Titan. And
the issue has been resolved.
Issue has been resolved. And just tap 4 mana, and here comes Phyrexian Metamorph.
He's going to pay 2 life, I believe, here. Yeah. Just in case.
Doesn't really matter. Oh.
Interesting.
That was wrong.
That was wrong.
Okay. Bird's Paradise. You get sacrificed.
To go get a Strangleroot Geist.
Yep, which can then be sacrificed for... No, probably for a Phantasmal Image.
Phantasmal Image on
yeah, then
Sun Titan.
Strangleroot Geist.
Strangleroot Geist. Also going to sack.
Sacrificed.
To go get a 3-drop of some kind. Oh, he's going to get the Ether Adept, which will bounce the Sun Titan and attack for 2. Or no, he'll tap it. Okay.
Yep.
He'll tap it and attack for 2. There were many plays there that would allow Dan to win. He just put on so much pressure that there were many lines that allowed him to win.
If he gets his opponent's life total low enough and has multiple pods in play, then it really doesn't matter what David does. There's so many lines that he has that can just punch through enough damage to win.
So Dan takes down game 1. Looking at the sideboards here.
Oh yeah, so not Borderland Ranger. I'm sorry. He would search up like Deceiver Exarch. The 3-drop he he gets is irrelevant. Like
yeah, he would have to get up a 3-drop that would survive Elishnorn, which would be Deceiver Exarch.
Yeah.
So looking at the sideboards here,
so he could Sun Titan back the Phantasmal Image. There are many lines that win the game there.
So David, among other things, has Timely Reinforcements, which I bet comes in, as will his Day of Judgment. It's possible he brings in Celestial Purge to deal with Inferno Titan and Huntmaster of the Fells. He also has a Sever the Bloodline, which seems like a very slow option.
Looking over at Dan's side of the table, Dan has 2 more copies of Zealous Conscripts, which will probably come in here. Also has a Consecrated Sphinx, and some Hell Riders. Not really sure how you sideboard with this deck. I think that I mean, I wish I knew more, but I mean, it's not the easiest deck to play.
I mean, even we were confused as to what was going on when we were talking about the Borderland Ranger.
Oh yeah, I mean, I apologize again for the Borderland Ranger.
Yeah, I mean, we both missed it. So
yeah, you could have returned the Phantasmal Image instead.
But Dan saw it, and that's all that mattered.
Yes, that is all that matters. Now, I mean, Hell Riders also seem pretty good. There are a lot of cards like in his main deck. For example, is it the Daybreak Ranger? Is very bad here. Doesn't really do much. Huntmaster. I mean, David's deck doesn't really play any spot removal. All of its removal is board sweeping effects, and Huntmaster doesn't really apply that much pressure. So
I would expect to see more Zealous Conscripts out of Dan, as well as the Hound of Gristlebrand.
That seems reasonable enough. Hound of Gristlebrand could be sacrificed for a pair of Zealous Conscripts, making it very strong.
Hound paired up with a Wolf for a Silverheart is also fairly unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, it's the guy with a lot of power. Fortunately, David's deck does have the 4 Lingering Souls, but it can kind of block that all day. Now, other things that can happen. The Inferno Titan has to stay in. I think the Wolf for a Silverheart comes out. Actually,
really?
I mean, his opponent has Lingering Souls in his
That's
deck.
fair.
I don't think it's very good to have the gigantic thing. And if you're siding in all these other 5-drops, it's pretty hard to fit that. Bonfire of the Damned definitely coming out of his deck. Not very good here at all. A lot of these other things are one-ofs that seem like pretty important bullets as far as his deck is concerned. The Inferno Titan, though very good against creature decks, he's going to have to keep it against David because of the Lingering Souls.
Yep.
And just too important when fighting that fight. Also, once David has him under Elishnorn, having the ability, having the reach of Inferno Titan is really going to be important for Dan. So the cards that I think are malleable here: Wolfear Silverheart, Bonfire of the Damned, Daybreak Ranger, and Huntmaster of the Fells. Wolfear Silverheart, Daybreak Ranger, and Bonfire of the Damned definitely coming out. Huntmaster, I'm sure some number of them will come out, but can't side out too many of them.
How do you feel about Hellrider, seeing as David's playing some number of Wrath of Gods?
I think that's completely reasonable. So if, let's say Dan decides to take out Wolfear Silverheart, Bonfire of the Damned, Daybreak Ranger,
and the Huntmasters,
then he has, he has like 6 cards to side in. Anyway, back into the game. So not going to side out all the Huntmasters, but probably 1 or 2 of them.
David leads off with a pair of Glacial Fortresses. Dan leads off with Bird of Paradise into Stranglerootgeist, Llanowar Elf. So a very quick start for Dan. David's going to need to establish a board presence fairly soon. He does have 2 Day of Judgments in his opener. Also a Lingering Souls, which will most likely be in play or in his graveyard this turn. Also an Elish Norn and a Phantasmal Image.
Right,
Phantasmal Image on the Stranglerootgeist, so saving the Lingering Souls for a later date.
That's going to do a good job to stem the bleeding here.
Yeah.
Again, David just wants to hold on until he can Elish Norn. The last game, if he had Lingering Souls that one turn instead of the Greedy Forbidden Alchemy,
yep,
he would have definitely been able to survive with a high enough life total to not die in Reach. And again, to everybody else, we know that he could not pot away the Borderland Ranger because it would have died to Elish Norn. You don't need to tell us again.
Yeah, we got the Borderland Ranger thing. We apologize.
No, I don't.
Oh, he doesn't apologize. All right, fine. Forget you guys. No, I'm kidding. We're doing the best we can here. So here's a Day of Judgment.
Nice there. So actually, that Day of Judgment did not just happen like that. Did he just play the Isolated Chapel? He did. He played the Isolated Chapel untapped.
Oh, Image Copied Bird.
Oh, okay then.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Okay, I saw the. All right.
So Image Copied Bird of Paradise, not Stranglerootgeist. We apologize. Oh, after the block, it recopied Bird, I believe, is what happened.
Okay.
Now we have
Otherwise,
Lingering
I was
Souls.
a little bit confused.
Yep.
All right.
It's a good play from David, considering he did not have a come into play untapped land in his hand.
All right. Aether Adept coming down from Dan, in all likelihood.
Possibly.
Kill a token.
Did not commit to that play, apparently.
He didn't take his hand off it.
He did not.
All right.
So first we're going to play Stranglerootgeist. Now Dan almost certainly knows David has timely reinforcements in his deck. So getting slightly after the Day of Judgment recovery here, it might be a little bit greedy for Dan to try and flood the board again. But as a pod deck, he kind of has to.
I mean, it's the Cruel Ultimatum effect. David's deck has Elish Norn in it, so it's not like he can play safe in order to play around timely reinforcements.
Right.
When the whole game is just this ticking clock until David gets to an Elish Norn, and then the game kind of just ends unless Dan has David's life total low enough so he can just reach him out.
And Dan presumably took out the Bonfire of the Damned, so Reach is not at a premium, or Reach is at a premium in his deck. Pretty much the only Reach he'll have are Zealous Conscripts.
Yeah, and Inferno Titan.
And an Inferno Titan, yes.
Dan does have his Consecrated Sphinx in hand. That's going to be awesome here.
Yeah.
So he can definitely win through an Elish Norn if he's able to get a Sphinx to stick for a while.
Yeah, if David does not have one of his black elimination spells, there's a shot of David right there. Deep in thought. If he does not have one of his black elimination spells for that Consecrated Sphinx, then Dan can possibly fight through an Elish Norn. David's going to flash back Lingering Souls.
And that's going to turn off his timely reinforcements, at least for some time. The one half of the timely reinforcements not going, the important one, down for the count. Dan here with an opportunity to resolve Consecrated Sphinx. He doesn't know that though, and David McDarby could very easily have a counterspell in hand.
Turns out David does not have any counterspells in his deck.
Yeah, the deck doesn't play any, and that's something that a lot of people might not be really savvy to, which plays into the Solar Flare deck's hands pretty well.
This play, however, still makes the Strangleroot Geist survive. This will, however, turn on Timely Reinforcements, which Dan can't possibly know about. Dan preemptively scooping up his creatures to Day of Judgment, but instead it'll be a Timely Reinforcements.
A pretty nice one there.
Yep, that'll flood the board with guys and add additional life. There's Timely Reinforcements.
24 from that, and then...
Yep, that's an M12 uncommon. If you have less life than an opponent, you gain 6 life. If you control fewer creatures than an opponent, put 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. So David is going to swing with his Spirit token after freshly made reinforcements, Timely Reinforcements. Now Dan has lots of mana.
Yeah, and
lots of options. Has the Consecrated Sphinx.
Can't go for the Consecrated Sphinx.
Can't know that David isn't running Mana Leak.
It's also somewhat difficult to start playing into things when you've been playing around them.
Yeah.
Makes you look somewhat foolish, especially when you're on camera. Now, again, there's no way he can know that David's not playing counter Magic, unless, of course, he reads Magic Online daily event results and then realizes that most of these Esper decks usually just have a Dissipate or 2, or sometimes a few Mana Leaks, but it's rare to see a significant amount of counter Magic out of these decks. Also, there's not really... okay, so the Consecrated Sphinx is coming down, and
there it is.
Plays it like it's being shown, telled into play.
That's right.
And that's how a Consecrated Sphinx is meant to be played.
That's right.
Dan, drawing 2 off that.
David drawing his card quickly, hopefully to Mind Trick. It's going to get back a Phantasmal Image, which is going to copy the Consecrated Sphinx. Now we get to play the Consecrated Sphinx game.
The Consecrated Sphinx game, one of my favorite games that happened.
Which happened earlier.
Now the most fun thing in Magic is drawing cards, and nothing is more fun than 2 Consecrated Sphinx across the tail from one another.
They get to draw all the cards.
So prepare for a draw step that takes at least 10 minutes right now, guys. This is going to be great. So anyway, all right, we got David McDarby decides to use that 1 trigger there. Draws a card. Dan says, no, I'm okay. I don't want to draw any extra cards. And will Dan draw some extra cards here? That is the question.
That is the question. How happy is he with his current position?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Phantasmal Image is copying, do we know what?
Phantasmal Image is copying the Consecrated Sphinx.
Okay, yeah, obviously. So, sorry, brain fart. Drawing back and forth.
Of course, it's been a long day, but...
Yeah. Literally, all of a sudden, it's like, where am I? But anyway, Consecrated Sphinx, back and forth. 2 triggers on the stack for Dan, trying to decide whether or not he wants to draw more cards, let David draw more cards. And it's interesting. You kind of have to think of whose cards are more valuable. A lot of the time, it comes down to whose deck has a lower converted mana cost. Dan's deck definitely has the lower converted mana cost. However, all of the small casting cost cards that Dan has can be undone by one card from David. So, unless he can just haste him out and just kill him all at once, it's going to seem a little odd. Perhaps he can find a birthing pod, go up the chain somehow.
Dan mulling over his decisions here. We can't really tell what's in his hand. He's holding him close to his chest right now. Zealous Conscripts is going to come in. That's going to take control of Sun Titan.
Pretty nice here.
Sun Titan's likely going to bring back this Ether Adept, which is going to knock the Phantasmal Image back into the graveyard.
It'll kill that dead. And what is this he's holding up in his hand? Is it some sort of very special treat?
It's a phantasmal image of his own.
Ooh. That is a very
So
special
that
treat. That may copy Zell's conscripts.
That may copy Zell's conscripts. I don't know.
It may also copy Consecrated Sphinx.
It may be copying Consecrated Sphinx. We'll get verification for you. Or he hasn't chosen yet. He's slowly hovering his hand. What's it going to be? I guess he didn't really tell us what it's going to be.
So, he's pointing at a lot of stuff. He's clearly not copying the timely reinforcements.
Right. He is unlikely to be targeting a soldier token. So the options here, he's making another Consecrated Sphinx, sure.
Very reasonable. Having more Consecrated Sphinx is never a bad thing.
Yep. Another trigger from Sun Titan is going to bring back this Ether Adept, which is going to kill the Phantasmal Image by targeting it. Many, many things coming into the red zone for Dan Musser. Stranglegeist with a counter on it. A Zealous Conscripts, a Sun Titan, and a Consecrated Sphinx. The untapped creatures on Dan's side of the board are a Phantasmal Image, which is also a Consecrated Sphinx, and a Ether Adept. Now these two soldier tokens, this soldier token cannot block this Consecrated Sphinx, so...
But one of them is a spirit token.
One of them is a spirit token, so we're going to block Consecrated Sphinx and Sun Titan. So he's going to draw 4 cards, should he so choose. That's quite good. And then the mini game, if David tries to start the mini game of Phantasmal Imaging next turn, is not going to... Dan will just choose not to draw any more cards after the first.
I mean, David will still be drawing extra cards at returns, so...
Yes.
I mean, Dan can't get away with just not drawing cards on both Bill's draw steps, because then Dan...
No, he'll draw one, but he won't draw any more after that.
Well, that's what I mean, is he can't get away with... If he passes the turn back to David, then lets David have his draw step, and then... Like, there could very well be more turns to follow.
Absolutely,
I think,
yes. Although
Dan
one of the cards...
wants to win.
One of the cards that Dan drew was another Zealous Conscripts.
Oh, so the game's probably just over next
Likely. Depends on what happens here. Yes. With the main phase of Forbidden Alchemy, it seems likely that Dan will win on his swing back.
Yeah, David desperately looking for some type of board sweeper here. And I don't know if a board sweeper really costs a small enough amount of mana there.
Terminus.
To be happy, but
he would need
Terminus off
Forbidden
Alchemy doesn't
land,
really do
think
anything.
twice. Yes, and he doesn't have think twice. He would need land, Nihil Spellbomb activation.
But I think he also has the Terminus in his hand already.
Oh.
So.
Well, in that case. My unlikely line became even more unlikely.
Or no, he can't have the Terminus, because then he would have cast it, right? So,
Probably.
Yeah, think twice and a turn. Nihil Spellbomb and a Terminus was his out. You're right.
Couple of one-ofs. He probably took out the Nihil Spellbomb, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't think that one's still in here. Oh, so the Terminus was in the top 4 cards. And
Things not looking good for David.
yeah, it's looking like David's going to get the Sun Titan stolen by Zell's Conscripts, and that's going to be the end of this game.
I suppose David could have found the Day of Judgment, played a land, which it doesn't look like he has in hand. So I guess that doesn't work. But if he had a land in hand, he could have played it, brought another land back with Sun Titan, and then played Day of Judgment.
Yeah.
But alas, none of those things happened. Things not looking good for David.
David counting through all of his options, just making sure that he's absolutely 100% dead. And if he knew about the Zell's Conscripts, I'm pretty sure he would have conceded by now. But, with that Doomblade, he could still hypothetically survive. And, going to go ahead and Doomblade the Sphinx. And going to attack with the Sun Titan.
Bringing in a Phantasmal Image. Phantasmal Image is going to bring in yet another Phantasmal Image. So there are 2. He's going to have some blockers back.
Yep. So, the second Phantasmal Image could copy the Aether Adept and kill that. So, yeah, Sun Titan chain ended up working out really well. So another Phantasmal Image. Perfect card there for David. And I believe
Dan's still deciding how to block. And he's going to block with the Ether Adept so that when the Zealous Conscripts steals the Sun Titan, he can bring back another Ether Adept in order to target the Phantasmal Image again. So this turn, much like the last turn,
yeah, similar set of things are going to happen. Dan with a massive hand now after all of these Consecrated Sphinx triggers. David also with a very large hand. David does have board sweepers now, so if Dan's unable to kill him this turn, it's pretty bad for David. Yeah, I didn't know that David had that Phantasmal Image in hand. That's pretty good out there.
Yep.
Let's see.
So if Dan plays the Zealous Conscripts on the Sun Titan, he can bring back the Ether Adept, which will kill one of the other fake Sun Titans. There will still be one Sun Titan left.
He's going to need something else besides that.
Yes.
That alone is not enough. But even if there's a board sweeper afterward, if David then resolves an Elesh Norn into an empty board, Dan can Zealous Conscripts it away.
Yes.
Kill David. So all Dan has to do here, if that's what he expects to happen, is somehow get David to 9 right now, which is very easy to do.
There it is.
Conscripts. And that's going to take the Sun Titan here. Remember, there's a Phantasmal Image in the graveyard for Dan Musser. He could, when he brings back the Phantasmal Image, he could bring back the Phantasmal Image and not be a Zealous Conscripts. Oh, alright, it's saying,
I suppose he could, but that seems either way is it's basically the same
power
thing.
On the board,
yeah.
So
That's true. It would survive an Elesh Norn because it's a 3/3.
Also, we're still taking pre-registration for tomorrow's Legacy Open.
Dan trying to see if he can deal 15 this turn.
And 9, he can do 11 right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 right now, yes.
Yeah.
Looks like that's what the option is going to be. He is going to do the Ether Adept. I believe he's doing that just in case he can get it back into play via another fake Sun Titan activation. He can target a Phantasmal Image.
That seems reasonable enough.
So the Sun Titan and this Phantasmal Image are going to trade, or maybe not. I'm not sure what David blocked there that did not trade.
The second Sun Titan was not, the second Phantasmal Image was not a Sun Titan.
What was it? Do we know?
Remember, it was an Aether Adept or something that killed the Phantasmal Image.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to keep track of various Phantasmal Images from afar with no sound is somewhat difficult. We apologize. Or I apologize. Possibly Jacob apologizes too.
Yeah, so Ryan Last on Twitter asks, why did Dan's Phantasmal Image die when the last image on David's board copied it doesn't target? He didn't copy the Phantasmal Image with the second thing. He had copied an Aether Adept, which had targeted the Phantasmal Image to bounce it. That's the same reason that the Sun Titans didn't trade, because the Phantasmal Image that was still on the board was not a Sun Titan. It was an Aether Adept.
I believe I understand.
David, mull over his options here. Dan, still with another Zealous Conscripts in hand, so...
David's life total is not 15, by the way.
David's
We're working on it.
is 4.
It's 4, okay.
Yeah. So... It's kind of interesting for David. I think he's just going to Terminus here. I don't really think there's much else he could do. I mean,
There's an Elishnorn. He could cast.
Could Elishnorn, and then he'd just have Dan down to 2 Zealous Conscripts, but then he'd be dead to another Zealous Conscripts, but that's kind of hard to play around. Unfortunately, Dan does have the other Zealous Conscripts. So David's image wasn't an Aether Adept, it was actually a Zealous Conscripts. But that had the exact same effect on the game, so. All right. David doing the math, trying to figure out what he should do. I think the line of play that's most obvious is casting Elishnorn here, leaving your opponent with just 2 1/1 Zealous Conscripts. However, he will lose the game if that's what he does.
Yes. Dan has the answer in his hand.
Yeah. So an Elishnorn, and Dan's going to pick up all of those things except those 2 conscripts. And oh wait, no!
Sun Titan, yeah.
Chain both Phantasmal Images, giving David 4 blockers,
significantly better than I thought.
So 3 blockers, then goes to 3 guys. Copies there. Sweeps the entire board. Well played by David.
So he legend ruled his own Elishnorn.
Playing around the last Zealous Conscripts, basically locking up the game. Really well played by David there.
Yes, even though he legend ruled himself, creatures on Dan's side of the board did give -4/-4 until the end of the turn. There's the 3rd Zealous Conscripts, though.
Yep, that's going to be enough anyway.
Yep, and that's still going to be the game.
Yeah, and excellently played by
both
McDarby
players,
there.
yeah.
And also excellently played by Dan Musser. Well done, guys.
So Dan Musser winning. I believe that keeps him at XO. We don't have this